This is chapter 4D, fraction of a quantity. In this chapter, you'll learn two skills. Number one, how to multiply fractions with a whole number. And two, how to find the fractional quantity of a given amount. So here's the first skill to set us up for the next skill. How do we multiply fractions with a whole number? Well, let's look at example A. One thing we have to be reminded of is that a whole number, in this case the 12, is really a fraction at heart. It's really 12 over 1. Because when you simplify this fraction, 12 over 1, it simply becomes 12. Another way to think about it is that 12 over 1 is simply just a division problem. It's 12 divided by 1. So 12 divided by 1, well, that's just simply 12. Because if you subtract, that's all we get. So when we want to multiply fractions with a whole number, the first thing we have to do is actually just simply set up the whole number as a fraction. 12, we would rewrite it as 12 over 1. Then it says to multiply it by 1/4, so we just multiply it by 1/4. And this is all you have to do. You do not need a common denominator. All you have to do is multiply straight across. 12 times 1 is simply 12. 1 times 4 is simply just 4. And now, like I said earlier, a fraction is technically it's a secret division problem. So if we simplify this fraction, 12 over 4, or 12 divided by 4, it simply just becomes a 3, a whole. So 12 times 1/4 is simply 3. At this time, pause and do the rest. So let's work it out. 24 becomes 24 over 1 times 2 over 6. 24 times 2 becomes 48 over 1 times 6, 6. 48 over 6, which is the same as 48 divided by 6, is just 8. 14 is the same as saying 14 over 1 times 3 over 7. You multiply straight across. 3 times 14 is 42. 1 times 7 is 7. 42 divided by 7 is simply 6. And the last one, 15, is the same as saying 15 over 1 times 4 over 5. Multiply straight across. 15 times 4 is simply 80 divided by 5. And then is simply 16. Now, here's a bonus skill. At this time, you can fast forward to skill 2 if you don't feel like this is something you want to learn at this time. But simply, this bonus skill is teaching you how to simplify before you multiply. So choose to stay or choose to fast forward to skill 2. Now, you can simplify before you multiply simply by writing it out as fraction like we talked about. Now, when we want to simplify before we multiply, you can simplify diagonally. So can we find a common factor between 12 and 4? You can simplify diagonally the other way. Or you can simplify straight up and down. We never go straight across because that is the way we multiply. So let's try this out. Can I find a common factor between 12 and 4? Yes, they both can be divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 simply just makes 1. And 12 divided by 4 simply makes 3. So if I rewrite this fraction, it becomes 3 over 1 times 1 over 1, which just makes 3. And that was our answer if we were to multiply straight across and then simplify. So I'll do B for you. 24 over 1 times 2 over 6. Let's go diagonal this way. 24 and 6 have a common factor of 6, so I will divide both numbers by 6. And that turns the 6 divided by 6 into 1, and 24 divided by 6 into 4. Let's go the other way. 2 and 1, nope, can't do it. Straight up and down, nope, can't do it. Straight up and down, nope, can't do it. So let's rewrite the fraction as 4 over 1 times 2 over 1, which simply just makes an answer of 8 over 1, which is just 8. So at this time, go ahead and pause and give it a try. Okay, so let's continue. 14 over 1 times 3 over 7. I can simplify 14 and 7 simply by dividing by 7. So this turns into 1 and this turns into 2. I cannot go the other way, 3 and 1. I cannot go 2 and 1. I cannot go 3 and 1. So I just multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is simply 6. 1 times 1 is 1, which just makes a simple 6. And then 15 over 1 times 4/5. I can simplify 15 and 5 simply by dividing by 5, which leaves me with 1 and a 3 on the top. I cannot go diagonally the other way. There's no big numbers to work with. Going up and down, there's nothing to work with. So I just multiply. 3 times 4 is 12 over 1, which just makes 12. Okay, so skill 2, how to find the fractional quantity of an amount. Now I'm going to show you multiple ways to do this. In the end, pick the one that's most natural to you. So, 1/4 of 24. You can choose method 1, which is to simply do what we've done before, multiply. Because when it says the word of, it simply means to multiply. You can go 1/4 times, and it's 24, right? 24 over 1, because we have to turn it into a fraction. Then multiply straight across, which is just 24 over 4, which simplifies into 24 divided by 4 is 6. And because we're talking about money, pounds, make sure you label it as 6 pounds. So that's method 1. Method 2 is to simply find your parts. So I see that I want fourths. So I will take 24 pounds and I will divide it by 4 parts, which makes 6. And this represents 1/4. 1/4 is 6. So if the question were actually like 2/4, then 2/4 would be 2 of these 6s, which would make 12. But in this case, since I only want 1/4, I want the answer of 6 pounds. So I'll use B to demonstrate that idea. So in B, you can use method 1 where you just multiply straight across, which is just 3/4 times 24 over 1, and multiply straight across like you always do. Or here's method 2. You want fourths. So part 1 is 24 divided by 4 to give you 6. And this represents, again, like I said, 1/4. Now because we want 3 of them, we have to take the 6 pounds and we have to times it by 3 because it says 3 of them. So you basically multiply by the numerator. And then you get 18. And this 18 represents 3/4. So at this time, go ahead and pause and choose to use either method 1 or method 2. Okay, so let's use method 1 for this case. 5/7 times 28 over 1. You just multiply straight across, which becomes 140. 7 times 1 is 7. And then you divide. 140 divided by 7 gives you 20. In D, let's use method 2. So I have 200 pounds. I want to divide it by 10 because I want 10 pieces. I want this to be broken into parts of 10 parts. 200 divided by 10 leaves me with 20. Now because I want 6 parts, I'm going to take 20 times the 6, since the 20 only represents 1/10 of it, and that should give me 120. So again, using either method 1 or method 2, you should have the same answers. And that's it.